Welcome back, my luxurious fleet. We are blessed in the United States to get some of the best products and technology from Toyota and Lexus. However, we don't get them all. I'm a little jealous of our international brethren around the world that receive the full lineup of motors and equipment from Toyota and Lexus. But what are we missing out on here in the States? Here are the top 5 Lexus and Toyota motors that we will never see here in the States. Without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 5 on our list is the Inline 4 turbo diesel from Toyota. It's called the 1ND-TV. It is a 1.4 liter turbo diesel. Like I said, you can find this in the Japanese, Indian, and a lot of the European markets. It was one of Toyota's first turbo diesels with an aluminum block. It is known for its efficiency, of course, most diesels are. This one's actually really quiet, and it gets really low emissions for a diesel as well. It only makes 89 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque, but it opts for a very low maintenance timing chain instead of a timing belt. The best thing about this motor is that it achieves amazing fuel economy at 55 miles per gallon, and that's in the US circuit. It gets higher, of course, in the European circuit with their larger gallons. Notable cars that use this pint-sized turbo diesel are the Corolla and Yaris here in the States. There's all sorts of other vehicles that incorporate this small engine overseas. Motor number 4 on the list is yet again another turbo diesel. You might be seeing a trend here. This 2.2 liter turbo diesel, the 2AD FHV, only came with a 6-speed manual transmission in the IS220D from years 2005 to 2012. It's mostly for the European market. However, it was exported in this vehicle to other markets such as India and New Zealand. It only produces 174 horsepower, but it does have a good amount of torque at 295 foot-pounds of torque at a very low 2,500 RPM. Fuel economy is really good. It gets about 36 miles per gallon compared to the 25 miles per gallon that you see in the state-bound IS250 6-cylinder gas motor. Notable vehicles are the aforementioned IS220D. You can also find this in a 2006 to 2012 Toyota RAV4 and the 2007 to 12 Auris. I think that's how you say it. Here in the States, it was known as the Corolla IM, and before that, it was known as the Scion IM. Coming in at number 3 on our list is a funny one. Yes, we already have this engine. It's the 3UR-FE. However, this one is supercharged. So let's get into it. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Kirk, you can put a supercharger on any of the Toyota Lexus 5.7 liter V8s that's offered here in the States. Yes, that is true. You're absolutely right. However, Lexus actually did it from the manufacturer. They slapped a supercharger on it from the factory and brought it as a special edition only to the Middle East. It was produced from years 2014 to 2015. This supercharger cranked the horsepower up from 383 horsepower and 403 foot-pounds of torque all the way up to a very impressive 450 horsepower and 521 pound-feet of torque. I would absolutely kill for Lexus to offer this in their lineup right now. We have had the same 5.7 liter V8 since 2006, 2007 about. Here in the States is when they came out with the LX570. It's just not fair that owners are putting $100,000 down and getting the same motor that they did 10 years ago. Buyers would be so happy to pay an extra 10 to 15 grand to put an extra 100 horsepower into this vehicle with this supercharger. I know a ton of people that would just line up and just order it that way, or only want this vehicle in this iteration. They would forego the standard one because the superchargers are pretty reliable, as most of you know. But what about this special edition? I kind of want to show you guys what's cool about this special edition LX that we saw in the Middle East, that we didn't see in the Middle East here in the States, but you guys across the country over there in the Middle East got to see and got to drive this amazing vehicle. Let's get into some of the pictures. You can see there's copious amounts of supercharged lettering on the sides of the vehicle. They blacked out the grille and smoked out the headlights and taillights. The exhaust tip was even spruced up as well. Here in the States, we don't even get that option, not even our luxury build. The front bumper was decked out. It had some ground effects on it with some black mesh and stylized fog lamps. I just don't know why we don't get anything special. Yeah, we got the Inspiration series, which was not inspirational. All they did was black out some of the stuff. This special edition is way, way, way cooler than any LX we've ever had in the States. Why cannot we get this motor here in the States? I don't know. And why doesn't Lexus, they only made it for 2 years. Why did they stop at 2 years? I don't get it. Before I get too heated, we should probably move on to motor number 2 on the list. Coming in at number 2 is the legendary V12 from Toyota, the 1GZFE. If you thought the Toyota and Lexus V8s were the smoothest engines a company has ever made, think again. The 1GZFE is a 5-liter V12 with variable valve timing. For a V12, the power isn't that impressive compared to maybe some of the exotic things you've seen in maybe the Mercedes-Benz, for example. It overperforms on the listed ratings. Toyota will say, oh, it makes around 170 to 180 horsepower. It makes a little over 300 horsepower on testing. Now, that's not what the most impressive thing about this engine. The most impressive thing about this engine is the torque and the smooth and low power torque delivery that this engine has. It's very unique to it. It produces around 300 foot-pounds of torque at just 1200 RPM. That's pretty much idle. I mean, most cars idle under 1000 RPM, but right off the line, you're getting a big stump full of torque. This legendary engine was only applied in one vehicle, the ultra-luxurious Toyota Century, which is you can only find this car in the JDM market. Here in the States, we don't receive such a gift. Instead, we get the pedestrian LS 500. Just kidding, the LS 500 is really nice, but man, it would be so cool to have this Toyota Century as well. Sadly, this motor, this V12 legend, met its end in 2016 and will forever be lusted over here in the States. If you want a 2018 or newer Toyota Century, you only get one power option, and that is the same power plant that was in the Lexus 600HL that we did see here in the States. There's nothing really that special about that power plant. It is very smooth, and I know that's important for the Toyota Century to offer this ultra smooth experience. However, that power plant, that hybrid power plant, is not my favorite. I believe just the gas version, not the gas electric version of that motor, that 2UR, is the way to go, but you can't get it in the LS or the Toyota Century. At least this power plant gets better fuel mileage than the legendary 1GZ V12. Coming in at number 1 is the twin turbo diesel from Lexus. It's a V8. It's the 1VD FTV that originally came out in the Land Cruiser. Let's get into it a little bit more in depth. Out of all the motors on this list, this is the one I lust for the most. Yes, I'd love to have that factory installed supercharger on the LX. That would be awesome. Options are a good thing. We don't get any motor options in the LX. We get one. Same thing for the GX. We get one. Let's get some variety. Why do I love this twin turbo diesel? This was the very first V8 turbo diesel produced by Toyota. It was brought over from the Land Cruiser, like I mentioned before, into the LX 450D and fairly recent, 2018, just a couple of years ago. The 5.7 3URFE that we have in the Lexus 570 and Land Cruiser gets only about 15 miles per gallon. It's awful. This twin turbo V8 diesel gets almost 23 miles per gallon. That's almost double the fuel mileage. That is the only complaint I have and I hear from LX 570 and Land Cruiser owners, that the fuel mileage is absolutely abysmal, but they're willing to put up with it because the rest of the vehicle is just undeniably good. Well, we have a remedy for that. It's this motor. Why can't Toyota bring it over into the States for the LX 570? I don't know. I guess it would be the LX 450D instead of the 570 if they were to do that, but let's put it into the States. People love diesels here. people who like trucks like diesels in America. They don't like it in the cars. I don't know why. I do. I'd love to have a diesel in a small car, but the diesel needs to be put in the Lexus LX, in my opinion. Fuel economy aside, yes, it gets really good gas mileage or fuel mileage since it's diesel. It's down on power to the 5.7 liter, but that's fine. Diesels aren't known for their peak power. Yes, it's down 115 horsepower from the V8, but let's talk about the strengths of this motor. The peak power is not even close, but the diesel does a really good job with torque, as all diesels do. The torque numbers on this is 479 pound-feet of torque at just 1600 RPM. That's really, really low down. It's a great amount of torque. In comparison, the 3UR FE 5.7 liter V8 that we get in the Lexus LX 570 has a good 403 foot-pounds of torque, but it's at double the RPM, or more than double the RPM. It comes in at 3,600 RPM, where you get way more torque on the turbo diesel at 1,600 RPM. That's crazy to me. And with simple ECU tuning, you can get 25% more power and torque out of this turbo diesel with a simple ECU flash. Sign me up. Where do I sign? Bring that Lexus or that motor here. Heck, I would even be happy if they just brought it into the Land Cruiser as an option. But no, we don't get any fun stuff here. No fun stuff in America for Lexus and Toyota. Just old, boring, reliable. Yes, they're good motors, I know, but man, it would be fun to have some liveliness in their motors every once in a while. Yes, the 2UR 5.0 and the LC500 and the RCF and the GSF are amazing motors. They're perfect for what they are. But man, how cool would it be to see your first Lexus in America with a twin turbo V8 diesel? Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. So that brings on another question. What's next for the LX? Are they just going to stick with the 5.7 liter forever? Well, I think they're going to stick onto it as long as they possibly can. I don't think they'll make a hybrid version of that vehicle and in a hybrid version of the Toyota Tundra or the Sequoia, for example. I think what they're going to do, why? Because it'd be too heavy in my opinion, but you never know. I think what they're going to do is just ride out this 5.7 liter as long as they can, and then eventually maybe switch over to electric in 10 years, fully electric. But what else? What else could they do? Well, Toyota is really pushing hard for hydrogen fuel cell. Now, I think that's a somewhat enticing and promising technology. However, there's absolutely no infrastructure for it in America outside of like California and maybe some places on the East Coast. Most of the country has there's just no infrastructure for it. It would be a terrible, terrible move to offer a hydrogen fuel cell version of this vehicle and not a twin turbo diesel version. That just doesn't make sense to me, because anywhere in the United States you can find diesel. Anywhere. You cannot find a hydrogen fuel cell plant or whatever you call it where you refill station anywhere, at least unless you live in Southern California. But they're going to stick with the 5.7 liter as long as they can. All the research and development in it is done. They don't need to put any more money in it. It's just a cash cow for them at this point. Super reliable. It's buttery smooth. It's good power. It's not great. It's nothing special about it other than just tried and true Toyota reliability. But that's enough me ranting. In summary, I love all these motors. I wish we could at least sample them here in the States to see what they're like, but we'll never get a chance, especially with the V12 and the diesels. We'll never see that chance. Give me a like if you like the video. At least give me a like for the V12 and for the twin turbo diesel V8 motor that we'll probably never see in here in the States. Which engine do you guys like the most, or which one would you like to see here the most in the States from Toyota and Lexus? And you know what? If there's a motor I didn't list on here, I'm not the world's guru when it comes to motors and Lexus and Toyota. If there's another engine floating out there in the wild across the pond from us that I didn't list in here, put it down in the comments below, and I'd love to tee off and see what you guys can come up with. But I'll see you in the next video. Give me a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Peace out.